All right, guys, Darius, we're going to be adjusting the clutch on this DT50. First, seeing what's going on, I basically rebuilt her and then started losing clutch, and now I have none. I think what's going on is that little bolt that's in here actually got loose, and I just need to tighten that down and then make the proper adjustments. We'll start and I'll kind of walk through the process. First thing we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to remove this cover here. We're gonna have to remove the tank and the seat. We're gonna have to open up the radiator cap, and then we're gonna have to drain the radiator fluid. And then unfortunately also the transmission clutch fluid, if you will. So all right, guys, so we've managed to get all the radiator fluid out and capture most of that. Also, we've managed to get all the oil out of the crankcase, and now we're going to put this back. Look at how pretty that cadmium plating is on that. Look at that. Wow. All right, so anyways, a lot of work just to get to the clutch, but that's what it is. So we're going to tighten this back up here. And since I'm not going to be draining the oil again, hopefully, we're going to tighten this up. Looks like it's a 12 mil bolt. So we're going to carefully get this tightened down, and that should work pretty well. All right, got that done, and then we're gonna move on to the next. All right, so then what we had to do was take off the oil pump cover, and as I've mentioned, I've removed this on this particular bike, and also you've got your tachometer connector. I am gonna put some oil on here, or some grease actually, to help reduce any chance of seizure the next time I have to take it out. A little harder than I wanted to unplug. All right, so now we've gotten the hose off of here. We've removed this little auxiliary hose. One of the things I've done on these is I'll put some grease on these seals, and basically makes it easy to pull them off if you need to. And so now we just got to undo the bolts around the clutch cover and see what's going on. All right, so we've got the clutch cover off, and very clearly I can see something going on right here. See if we could zoom in a bit. All right, let's take a look. Now, if we look to the side, you're going to see this bolt is just completely loose. And what that's doing is it's creating a lot of extra slack. So we're lucky this didn't completely come loose and end up destroying a primary drive or something like that. So if you start seeing your clutch start to loosen and you know it's not these guys, then you've got to start adjusting. So I'm going to work on that process. There is a detailed description in the manual. What they basically want, I'll show you on the other side, is they want the arm. They want this arm, or not parallel, but perpendicular. So we're gonna work on this adjustment, try to get that set up correctly. I'll let you know when I'm done and we'll do the final. All right, guys. So basically the way these work, and you'll see this on other DT models, you want to basically screw in this rod. There is a little Phillips head on this, and I've got an impact driver that's got a very nicely shaped head. So what I can do is I can screw this in, and as I do, the clutch is getting tighter and tighter in terms of less slack at the lever. So as you can see, now we've got like good clutch action. You can see the plates separating. However, what I have to be mindful of, and you also, if you're doing any work on one of these Yamahas or similar bike, is where is your adjustment here? Because if this is maxed out, I'm not going to have as much adjustment as I would if I back this out a bit. Because if this is maxed out, I can't tighten anymore if it gets loose, or if maybe, let's say, my adjustments aren't good when I, button everything up. So what I'm going to do, as you can see here, I'm going to kind of go to a kind of a middle conservative position, and I want to leave myself a good bit of adjustment. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this adjuster. This is the manual, nut collar adjuster. I'm going to back this out like this, and what that's going to do is going to let me have a lot of adjustment. Now you'll see as I back this out. I'm just doing it by hand. You know, when I'm done, I'll tighten these down. But as I do that, you can see still have a good bit of clutch. So I'm gonna keep going. See if maybe that gives me a little more here. I'm gonna keep going a little bit. I need like a little 8 mil or something. Let me go. Reasons I backed out that adjuster on the other side is that when you tighten this up, you'll notice that you're basically pushing the clutch cap out, and the plates will start to separate. So if for any reason I end up doing this too tight, if I don't have adjustment there where I can loosen up the clutch, I could have an issue. So in all honesty, on the other side, I kind of want to be in the middle. Right now, I've got it pretty loose on that side, but again, I want to be able to get looser if I need to or tighter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and I'm going to leave that in kind of a middle position so I can move back and forth and have an equal amount of adjustment both ways. So where I'm at right now, I'm a lot farther back. You can see there's only that much thread. So I don't want to be in a position where maybe I cannot loosen it that much. So I'm gonna kind of work this thing till I'm kind of in the middle. And that would mean that I've got kind of an equal amount to go in either direction. So that's a safer bet than having it one way or the other. So as I kind of do this, we're learning. Let me get this adjusted. We'll put it in the middle position and then we'll tighten up that nut and screw on the clutch basket. So what we're gonna do, let's go to the manual. They've got a little bit of a pretty good instruction on what to do. So I wanna take a moment and read you guys that so we can be sure that we do this correctly. The other thing to watch on this is you've gotta have this arm perpendicular to the bike itself. And so right now you can see it is perpendicular. And we do have, as you can see here, some really good clutch action. So that's all really good. But let's go to the manual, see what they say to do, and then we're gonna show you. All right, guys, so here we are looking at the manual. It looks like they wanna have about 2 to 3 millimeters of free play. And that's not very much, but we'll make sure of that. And then they give you the adjustment here. You can see this is what we're talking about. You can turn in or turn out to increase or decrease the free play. Now, if you can't make that work, you have to end up going in and doing what I'm doing, which is why we're dealing with coolant and transmission oil. But basically, once you get to this part, this is what we're looking at here. You can see this is the lock. This is what they call the lock nut. And then number 2 is the adjuster. So it says push the push lever forward toward the front of the engine until you're with your finger until it stops. So it looks like the reason they want you to push this forward is if there's excessive slack or it's too far forward or back, they want it perpendicular. And apparently they seem to be some sort of crankcase match marks in there that keep it aligned. But basically you can see it's perpendicular. And there's a crankcase match mark apparently right there. So then all we're gonna do basically at that point is tighten this to about 5.8 foot-pounds. All right, guys, I was super curious as to where this crankcase mark is. And it's that little cylinder-like cone that's right there. So that's what that is. There's the mark. I was always wondering what that was. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna be a little bit of a deviant here, and I've blasted this with some carb cleaner. And I've gotten the rod set up. I'm gonna put a little bit of blue Loctite on this. I know it's not called for in the manual, but you know what? I just don't want it to come loose. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna tighten it up here, and that should be pretty good. Well, we're probably gonna have to forego using the torque meter because I'm gonna need to keep the bolt stable, the rod stable with the Phillips, and then grab it with a socket, with an open end socket, and basically tighten the bolt. All right, guys, so that pretty much wraps it up. We got everything adjusted, we buttoned everything back up. made sure that we tightened everything. I oiled up the seal here. I oiled up the O-ring here. I also greased up the brake pivot, made sure that the Kickstarter was tight, and pretty much, guys, that's about it. The thing about these that's a little bit of a pain is, well, actually a lot of a pain, is when you go in and you make these kind of adjustments, you basically have to take everything apart if you don't get your clutch adjustment right. And I also had to take the rear brake pedal off just to put the clutch cover back. So if you're building these, before you button everything up, get your clutch adjustment right, and then tighten everything up, because you're not going to have much external adjustment if you're way off. Plus, you've got to torque that bolt down, so it's about 8.5 foot-pounds. All right, we'll see you on the next one.